Welcome, everyone, to Second Opinion K Squared. Today we have a guest, Greg Ellingson.
Yes, sir.
And he is a professional football player. And we're going to talk about where he came from and how he lived in the pro world and is continuing to live in the pro world, and some stuff that he's doing for charity as well. And we'll get it going. So first of all, welcome. Thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here, Chris, and look forward to the talk.
Yeah.
So it's year 12, so
yeah,
it's been a while.
So tell everyone, where are you born? Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Tampa, Florida, originally. Some of my family's from Baltimore and Arizona. They both moved here when they were younger. You know, they met, they had me. So I grew up in South Tampa, south of Candid. I'm a Saug boy, as Tampa guys know.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to school in Robinson High School down by the MacDill Air Force Base. So I had a lot of influence from the military with that school, and have a lot of friends that are in the military and still to this day. So, that's definitely a big background of, the mindset that I had growing up, because I grew up with those guys.
Nice. And obviously for everyone, you're a professional football player. So when you grew up, did you start playing like when you're a little kid and got into all the, junior football activities and leagues? Yeah,
I think like anybody is when they're younger, they just find an interest that they love, right? I loved hanging out with my friends and being active outside. So it kind of started with that, right?
Tag football outside the yard.
Yeah, in the street, getting
I love
asphalt stuck into my arm.
That's the best, actually. I remember those days.
Mailbox over there's the touchdown, and the basketball court down there's the touchdown.
Yeah, so, I know.
That's kind of how it started. Grew to love it, and then my dad put me in tackle football with a bunch of my friends down near Coleman Middle School. Okay. I don't know if you know where that is, but they have the TBYFL team, the Seahawks.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of how I started my football journey, my football love, and ended up going to high school after that. Kind of did everything though. Like I wasn't really sure if I only loved football and playing football, and then kind of got into other things, right? Played soccer when I could. The baseball coach tried to recruit me, but it didn't really work out. And then I think I gained like more of that athletic side to me, because my receiver coach in high school told me that if you're going to be a receiver on this team, then you have to run track too. So I was like, all right, can I do this? Like, am I fast enough? Like, I don't know. I wasn't really sure. Kind of had those doubts.
Track is hard.
Track is hard. It's exhausting. It's mentally the fortitude it takes to kind of push through those barriers. Like when you're tired, like track really puts you in that mindset, and that also translates to football. Right. I mean, in life too, right?
Yeah.
Like team sports, I'm a firm believer that team sports help develop you, like in kids too, like into having that, mindset of working together for an end goal. And also, it's like I was just saying, the mental fortitude of like making you a tougher person for when the real world finally comes at you.
So you played obviously in middle school, and then you carried on into high school. So how did you know? I mean, did you play JV in the beginning, went to varsity, and kind of went up the ranks like that?
Yeah, JV. I'm a receiver now. So I'm a wide receiver, go around, catch the ball, try to run away from people, not get hit. Yeah. But when I first started out, I was a defensive end. And,
really?
So I was the one doing the hitting on the quarterback, and kind of grew that physical side to me, because not all receivers are known for being like a physical body, right? A force on the field for blocking and making plays and getting hit, and the defense kind of thinking like, do I really want to hit this guy? That's not really a mindset for a lot of defensive players. But I think starting with defensive end and playing tight end as well. My receiver coach, my high school coaches, when I played tight end, we had so many good receivers at that time that they're like, we just want to get this kid on the field. So, I mean, that's a big part of, I think, my success too, is having people around me that believed in me. They're like, I know this kid's talented. I know he can play receiver. But we have so many, like the guys that were in front of me went to Kentucky and went to Clemson, and we had receivers in front of me that were really good, but they just wanted me on the field, so I played tight end.
Wow.
And I think that helped me in my career later on, because, it made me a heck of a blocker. Yeah. And that paid off.
Growing up, did you always stay you're in good shape, obviously, so did you always stay lean? Were you like hit the gym every day and you're like, I got to bulk up, I got to, eat my protein and eat 20 cheeseburgers, whatever it is you guys do to kind of like bulk up?
Yeah, my dad was, one of those guys that had a gallon of milk in the fridge, and I'd go outside in 100-degree weathers and in Florida, and I'd come inside and he'd have a giant glass of milk in one of those plastic Coca-Cola cups, those old school red ones. Yeah. And now that I think about it, I'm like, how did I go outside and sweat like that and was overheated and just down a gallon of milk?
Right, yeah.
Like every day almost. And peanut butter sandwiches before bed. He'd always make me go and get peanut butter sandwiches. But I was still a really lean kid. I am now to this day. I'm still lean. Like if I don't work out and I don't hit the gym, I'm the type of guy that'll like lose muscle and
right.
and lose weight. I just have like a fast metabolism. So my dad was always on. I was like maybe 6'1", 6'2", 170 like in high school, and I was fortunate enough to have FIU college that had a coach, Bernard Clark, that believed in me and gave me the opportunity, and I really filled out in college.
So when did you know you wanted to turn, like obviously when you were in JV football and you went to varsity, you're like, okay, I want to go play college ball. I mean, is that pretty much how your mindset was, and take this off and see how far it goes?
I think, that's kind of like a tough area to think about, because I think in that mindset in high school, my dad was like, had that firm belief of like kind of coming from nothing. And he was like, listen, I know you love football, but it's not really going to get you to where you want to go.
Right.
You need to focus on your school. Like you need to make sure like he put me in, AP classes. Like when I got home from, school, I wasn't.
Oh, so you had good grades too.
Yeah. I had like I think 4.4 in high school. Like I took AP class, AP bio, history, chemistry. Like my dad was really big on that stuff. Yeah. And like at the time I kind of, resented him a little bit. Yeah. Like, man, it's like, this is what I love to do. I want to go out there and play football. Yeah. I remember getting like a bad grade on a test, and I remember him taking his van to the football field in the middle of practice.
Wow. And was he military?
He wasn't military, but he grew up pretty rough. Like from Baltimore, moved here when he was 16. He was homeless when he moved here, honestly. Like he was jumping on couches from friends, bouncing around, just trying to get his life together. And, he ended up building himself up and having his own flooring business. So like he used to work for a while, do flooring, and then he kind of got tired of it. He's like, I'm tired of these guys, taking my work, what I do, and not really gaining all the benefits from it. So then he opened up in his own flooring business. So aside from football, like when I was growing up from like 10 to 18, I'd be going to work with him on the weekends. Wow. So like a lot of my work ethic and my hard work and like my determination and then my mental fortitude, I know comes from my dad. Yeah. Because he brought me up that way. And then it was nice to have, a figure like that in my life that like really pushed those things, like doing things the right way, making sure if you're going to do it, do it to the best of your ability and make sure that you don't have to go back and do it again. Like so make sure the first time you do it, you're going to do it right. So
did he set like schedules for you where this time you have to, this is your workout time, or this is your, your football training time, and this is your study time, and this is your...
Yeah, it was just, he also
just,
gave me a lot of
naturally just did it yourself.
He gave me a lot of independence. It was just me and him from 10 to 18. Like it was just me and my dad. And like I was saying, like he came to the football field and like dragged me off the football field because I got a bad grade in like one of my tests. And he was like, I told you, like, you're not going to have this if you don't focus on this first. Wow. And then I think it took him a while too to like really believe I had a real future in football. Right. But like, I think deep down in my heart, like I knew it. Like I knew I loved the game. I knew something was going to come from it. And I wasn't always like the most athletic person. I was never the fastest guy. Right. I was never the most explosive guy. But the one thing I know I got from my dad, and the one thing that I had that mindset of like, I wanted to prove him wrong and I wanted to like prove myself right, is that I always outworked everybody on the field. Like that one extra rep, like when people are gassed and they're exhausted and they can't breathe, and I'm like, all right, I can't breathe either, but I know I'm going one more than you. I know that like my heart, I'm going one more than you, and I know it's going to pay off in the end. Wish I had that attitude. That compound interest, right? Like over time of doing that, every practice, every day, every year, eventually paid off, and like finally got like, I think 1,000 yard season my high school senior year as a receiver, which is big for like, there's only so many games, right? And then finally the team started taking notice. I started getting like some letters from colleges, and then wasn't really sure if it was going to happen. Like I knew I wanted to get a scholarship. I knew I was really trying to get one because that's such a burden for your parents to like pay for that, and also to go into student debt, when you're 18 years old going to college. So I had one coach believe in me, Bernard Clark from FIU. He's the D coordinator there. And he was the one person who came to visit me. He talked to me, he brought me on a visit. And then I remember the next week he called me. He was like, so what do you think about coming to FIU? I was like, I just was just there last weekend for the visit, but I'll come again. He's like, no, idiot. We're offering you a scholarship. And I was like, no way. Well,
you had good grades. Obviously, you were a talented football player. So it seemed like a no-brainer for a school. Because you're going to be in one regard or the other successful. So
yeah, and in that sense too, like I knew I wasn't like a 5-star recruit. Right. Like I knew I was going to have to go in there and do the same thing that I had been doing the previous years, and
like one extra rep than everyone else. See, that's where we're opposite. I do a Barry's workout and I let everyone do an extra rep.
It's like I'm going to do what's just
I watch them, right? Exactly. I do the That's amazing. How did that conversation go with your father when the recruit started happening and the conversation kind of, leaning towards the college and playing football and scholarship? Obviously, he had built that trust in you, I'm assuming, right? Because you had good grades and everything else.
Yeah, I think at that point, I still had a little bit of that fire, and I wanted to prove him wrong and myself right, and all the other people that doubted me.
Yeah.
And he didn't really believe in me yet then either. Like, he knew I was going to college, and he believed in me.
He was skeptical.
He was, right. He was just like, it's football. Like,
he was being realistic, right?
Like 1% of the 1% that make it and end up having a career and making money off this, and like actually can create a living from it.
Yeah.
So like, he always had that doubt, but that's him being a good parent. He wanted like the best for me, right?
Right.
But in my heart, I was like, no,
I'm gonna do this
wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna prove all those people wrong that don't believe in me. So I just made sure, I went into college too, and I remember them signing like all these 5-star recruits from like Orlando, and like all these guys that came in were supposed to be like the end all be all, and I'm like, all right, let's see what they got. And
so that drove you more.
Yep. Went into camp that year, my freshman year as a rookie, or as a redshirt freshman.
Were you recruited as a wide receiver? Or
as a receiver. So I transferred from the tight end defensive end my first year of high school, and then the next 2 years I played receiver.
Okay.
So I went in as a receiver, and then kind of was that guy in the back that kind of outworked everybody. Yeah. And then the coaches started noticing, and then they're like, okay, this kid's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then started working harder, like just made sure that I knew all the plays. Like, didn't want to mess up mentally. Like, I didn't want any excuse for them not to play me.
How is that transition from high school to college playing football? Because I mean, assuming it's a different mindset, and B, physically, it's just a different world, right?
Oh, it's demanding. I mean, I'm actually glad now to see the kids getting paid in college, because like you're waking up at 5 a.m. for workouts.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an hour and a half. Maybe you got an 8 o'clock class, so you're going through your workouts, showering, going back to your dorm room, getting your books, going to class from 8 to 12. You know, maybe hitting lunch right before practice starts in the afternoon, and then you're in Miami heat down at FIU from like 1 to 3, and then I'm showering.
Were you still chugging milk, or was it water?
Oh, always chugging milk.
Really?
But
still?
I think I upgraded to chocolate milk at that time. All right. I was like, I'm starting to get fancy. I'm in Miami now. And then kind of just kept doing that. Or then we go to, after practice, we have meetings at night, and then as a freshman, you're going to study hall. So like your days are like 5, 6 a.m. till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night sometimes. And like you're 18 years old out of college, like getting thrown into this military atmosphere. So I think having friends and growing up in that area like really prepared me for that, because a lot of the kids, it was a rude awakening. Like they were like, what are we doing? Like, I've never worked this hard. And
right.
I wake up with my dad on 5 a.m. on the weekends to go put flooring and like do this whole house, do tile flooring, do wood flooring. Like, this is what I grew up doing.
Wow.
I was prepared for it.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys like fell by the wayside, and I think that's where I like really shined. Yeah. And then the hard work, mentality that, my dad making me study spelling bees and writing every word 100 times on the paper in a row just to make sure I could get it right. Yeah. I'm like, well, I hated them then, but this stuff really paid off.
So how were your grades in college?
Good. Yeah. Went through, I mean, there was
what do you major in?
Criminology, which at that point, was tough because I started with business, right? Which I thought I wanted to do, and I think I picked that also partly because my dad wanted me to do that. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, all right, you've guided me pretty well, like, you haven't really believed me in the football part, but you believed me in my grades, so like I'm gonna try the business because that's what you think I should do. And like I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do at that point. I just knew that I love football. I'm like, but what am I gonna do like outside of that? So I started with business, and then it was really tough for me, honestly, with like the demand and stuff. So like I switched over to criminology because my uncle, he's an undercover cop in Baltimore. Like he won like cop of the year there. Like he's retired now. And he just like inspired me from a young age, like what he did, and I really loved it. So I kind of switched to that. And then with the military like background growing up, a lot of my friends did military. So we talked about like the avenues for that. So criminology, like I wanted to go to the military for 4 years, get like my top secret clearance, and then like try to like do FBI, like CIA. Okay. That was kind of like the route I
actually wanted to do that myself.
Yes.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I want to be a spy.
Yeah. That's amazing. I know. It's
before football, I kind of envisioned myself doing that. I was like, all right, football doesn't work out, then this is the path I'm going to take.
Right. So how did you, so now we're in college, and how many years did you do at FIU?
4.
4 years?
Yeah.
So when were you like, okay, I'm going to try to turn pro here?
I didn't really think about it until my junior year there is when NFL teams came, and there's like a junior day where NFL teams come out, and like the guys that they think have potential to go to the NFL, they kind of will do like a junior day, like give you a rough 40, like come out. Some of the scouts will come. I think it was for the guys from Jacksonville. I think the Eagles and the Bears were there. And I had no idea, like, they're going to even call my name. I was like, oh, they want me to do this? All right, sick, let's go.
So how does that work? They come and you're on the field and
like,
they watch you. They want to see whatever you have.
They just want some
moment?
rough numbers, like just for like their scouting reports. They're like, all right, well, on your junior day, you ran a 4.57 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like I remember it was like a cold, wet day in Miami. And I was like, well, it's kind of suck. I didn't prepare for this. And they just want me to run and did my shuttle drill. And I was a little bit like disappointed, but I'm like, well, at least I'm on the radar.
Right. Exactly.
So, and I know like, I think I'd underperformed a little bit for my mentality and like what I believed in. So I was like, all right, I still have more to prove next year.
So then you had your senior year then to prove as well. Had
a good year. Yeah. We went to a bowl game, like the first in school history.
Which bowl game was that?
It was the Little Caesars Bowl in Detroit. Against Toledo.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of the best games of the year. Like we had like a 4th and 17 hook and ladder that like converted on like the last minute of the game. And then we like had like 3 catches, I think, on the last drive and set us up for a field goal to win the game.
Wow.
And I remember actually like at that point, I was saying like, it really helps to have people around you that believe in you.
Yeah.
I remember my coaches, I'd never done a kickoff return my whole career there, 4 years. And it was T.Y. Hilton and myself, which were like the 2 big names at FIU at the time. And he ended up playing for the Colts for how many years? Like he was all pro. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. But yeah, so it was me and him kind of for 3 years that were like the 2 guys. Like I'd take the top off for him. He'd take the top off for me. We'd like be on both sides or on the opposite sides.
Like a dynamic duo.
Yeah, it was me and him the whole time. And then I remember that game though, 1 minute left in the bowl game. And they're like, Greg, go back there. T.Y.'s gonna be in the back. If they short shuttle or if they short punt it to you, like just trying to dribble it up the middle of the field to waste time, scoop it up and run. I was like,
so how is that, obviously it is all, getting into that stuff, just the mindset. What is your mindset? Like, do you have any nerves at all? Are you like, this is natural to me? Or, hey, this is my calling. Like, are you putting pressure on yourself in the moment? Like what's going through your mind in that type of moment?
And in that moment, my mindset's, man, we're down. We're trying to win the game. Like I want to do anything I could do as a player. I'm usually not a kickoff return, but when they came up to me and they're like, we believe in you. Go in there. If they pooched this up the middle, grab it and run. Sure enough, they're exactly right. They pooched it down the middle, picked it up on like the 40-yard line, ran it to like the 55-yard line, or like not the 55. That's Canadian football. Yeah. To like the 50-yard line, and I'm like, wow, like we're already in almost field goal range. We just need a couple plays to put us in position to win the game. Yeah. So like they kind of messed up on their coaching point by doing that, and then our coaches did a great job adjusting. Just all right, we're gonna take one of the guys we trust. Has sure hands. Know he's tough. We're gonna put him right in the middle. Let him pick it up. Put us in field goal range almost already.
So you feel all that training, from when you're obviously, we play sports when we were young, but you did obviously accelerate into high school, college, and all that training. You felt it's just secondhand nature then, right? At that point,
you have to, it's a learned behavior, right? Like,
right, to learn behavior.
Yeah, it's like Pavlov. He rings the bell and the dog starts salivating. It's like you put a football in front of me. Like I've had enough training. I already know what to do with this. It's just instinct at that point.
Right, that's crazy. Because we're looking at on an audience standpoint, like something like that, what you're mentioning, and it's like you just wonder like what's going through their minds, right? What's going through the player's mind? What's going through that? And it's interesting because we don't hear it much, right? Obviously other people who basketball, there's 2 seconds left, you have the ball, and you have to shoot a 3 to win the game or whatever else. But it's I'm sure there has to be some form of nerves, but at the same time, you guys are trained for that for so many years.
The funny thing about that is I've seen over the years I played, right? 12 professionally and then college before that. So that's 4, and then high school. And then, so that was like 10. So whatever, 24 years of my life, everybody reacts so differently in like stressful clutch situations. Yeah. Whereas like the greatest guys that you see are so calm. Right. And they just like, one, believe in themselves, but also they've put in the time. And like, I'm a firm believer in this too. Cause people ask me like, during game day, do you get nervous? Yeah. Like, do you get the jitters? Like,
you probably get pumped up.
Oh, I see guys throwing up in the bathroom. I'm walking, strapping my pads on, making sure everything's tight, and walking by the bathroom to make, get a last minute bathroom break, and guys are in there.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God. Wow. But it's like people's bodies react, like whatever it is, like whatever your genetic makeup is, like maybe some people just can't handle it, or they stress themselves, or maybe it's mental. Maybe they're just like nervous about it. But for me, I've always believed in, if you prepare the right way, when you get the opportunity, you'll capitalize.
Right.
So like when I go into every game, like we have, our scripts of all the plays. We have the whole week in practice. Like you can ask probably any one of my coaches, like in practice, I'm probably one of the hardest working guys on the field. Because I always believe the mindset of if I treat practice like a game and I go hard in practice, and the game's gonna come easy. Right. It's gonna slow down for me. Yeah. And the same with my preparation. I mean, I guess my dad helped me with that, right? Younger, is making sure that I study the plays right. If I know all my plays and the play gets called in the huddle and I'm not really sure what's going on, and I second guess myself, I can't play free. I can't play at the best of my ability because I'm thinking too much. Right. So if I go unprepared, I have no reason to be nervous about it.
And that's what people say. Discipline goes an extremely long way in life and everything else of what we do. It's the pattern, it's the practice, it's everything that we have. But that takes a lot of discipline, and people, that's a hard thing to earn.
Yeah, and it's something that has to be earned, You can't just make it up one day, or you can't fake it. Right. Because especially in front of such a big audience, you're playing in front of 50,000 people. Yeah. You can't fake it. Everybody's eyes are on you. And there's also a film, and everybody's going to see the film after. Yeah. You can't lie about things because, this is what happened? All right, we'll see the film. Right, yeah. Well, that's not what happened. Yeah, no. So I effed up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you got to be accountable too. That's one of the big things.
So then you had that bowl game, and then that was your senior year. And what did you transition from that point on?
Yeah, we won the bowl game, and then immediately after that, started my training, signed with an agent, which when I look back at that, like, man, that was a process that I wish I could either go back and like kind of change or maybe had some better advice.
Did they educate? How did that work? Did they educate you on how that works?
Yeah, not at the time. Maybe they do now, but like that's something I would definitely tell younger athletes now is like really go through a process and find people you can trust and talk to, because I kind of just, the first person that talked to me, I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Like, you're gonna pay for my training. You're gonna send me to Ohio. Like, and I have to stay with you for 2 years in this contract. And if I leave you in 2 years, then I have to pay back this $30,000 when I just got out of college. I'm a broke college kid. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to stay with you for 2 years.
So you just took the first agent that came to you?
Took the first agent that came to me.
Wow.
Yep.
Gosh, and now, I mean, I can imagine like, wow, what if I waited and saw what this guy had to offer or that guy?
Yeah, in hindsight, he kind of left me out to dry a little bit. Like after the first year, I went to Jacksonville.
You played for the Jags?
I was with the Jags through
camp. So you got drafted to the Jags, or?
So they flew me in. Actually, they have like a certain number of people that they can fly in for like the combine and draft day. So I didn't get invited to the combine, but I did my pro day. So this is like my second attempt of when the guys from Jacksonville came and did my junior day, my numbers and stuff. So then I trained hard in Ohio and Cincinnati at Ignition Training. And actually Jason Kelsey, one of the best centers of all time now at this point, his brother beat him in the Super Bowl, unfortunately. Yeah. But I trained with him coming out.
Oh, wow.
At Ignition. And I remember him being like an undersized lineman.
He was eating the power bar in that, and then on the bench.
Yeah. And have you heard his Christmas special?
No.
Oh, buddy. Yeah. It's gold.
Is it really?
Yeah, you have to listen to that one.
Oh my gosh.
They did like an Eagles Christmas special. And it's amazing, actually.
Do you guys still stay in touch?
Not really. I know him. Like if I reached out to him, I'm sure he would respond back. But I just remember him being an undersized center and like crushing food every day, morning, lunch, night, like to almost where he was sick. And he's like, I got to be 300 pounds for this combine, or they're not going to take me as a lineman. They're not going to take me serious.
God, he's like, I can't even imagine what they put in themselves.
And he's like, I'm just going to be the fastest and most agile lineman there, but I'm going to be a little bit undersized.
So what was your lifestyle or health style at that point of what you're like, eating? Like, were you monitoring anything like differently, or you're like, I got to be this certain look or this certain weight myself and speed?
The combine training's like, you have your set program for your diet. You're working out, 2-3 times a day sometimes. You're in there early in the mornings getting your weight room stuff. Afternoon, you're coming back. After lunch, we had our preset meals that they like had for us and based off like your position group pretty much. Oh, wow. So like as a receiver, my diet's going to be different than offensive lineman. Like a lot of those guys' weights fluctuate a lot. Yeah. So either they have to like get thinner a little bit through the workout of the combine training, which is like 8 to 10 weeks. Yeah. Or maybe they have to put on weight like Jason did when he's just stuffing his face and other guys are over there eating salads, like wishing they had more food. Yeah. But I never really had that tough caloric like
you metabolize really well.
Yeah, I didn't have to monitor it too well, so it was pretty easy for me. But yeah, I went through that training and then really got my numbers up for the pro day. Like I ended up running, I think the first run I had was like a 4.35 or something. Wow. And I remember my like weight coach was like, hype for me on the sideline. He told me, he's like, dude, they don't believe you just ran that time. Like, just run it again.
Yeah.
So I ran it again, and I ran like a 4.4, like 6 or something.
Yeah.
So then like they made my median number like a 4.44 was like my whatever my pro day stats were, and I jumped like a almost 40-inch vertical, like 39 and a half, and like really blew it out of the water. Yeah. And then I had like a lot of the teams really like kind of know, like, oh, we didn't know this kid that's 6'4", 205 pounds. Like, I didn't know he could move like that. So then Jacksonville flew me in for tryouts, told me they were going to draft me. And then like it came to the 6th round, they called me and they were like, yeah, we're going to pick you this round. Yeah. And I'm just waiting by my phone. I'm like, all right, sick. 7th round talks by. I was like, all right, 7th round, they're going to call me.
It was 7th round.
Me, and then they called me right after, and they're like, hey, we didn't draft you, sorry, but like we want you as a priority free agent, so we want you to come here. Like, we'll give you a little signing bonus because we want to make it serious. Mm-hmm. I called my agent back, and this is kind of where that like went downhill a little bit. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, just do it. Like, you don't want him to pass up and like sign some other guys. Just like jump on this one now, and like, we'll take it and give yourself opportunity to go in there and win a job. So I'm like, I mean, you've been doing this job. You probably know better than me. Yeah. But I ended up signing with them, and then right after 3 other teams called. Baltimore Ravens, Atlanta Falcons.
And you can't do anything about it?
Can't do anything about it.
Because it's a letter of intent, essentially, and it's legal bound, right? Yep. So who called after that?
Atlanta Falcons, Baltimore Ravens, and I think it was the Chicago Bears.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, man, like I just listened to this guy. Like I was trying to listen to my gut, and my gut was telling me,
hold off. See,
like, let's see what happens. Like maybe, and then that would have increased my stock, my value. I could have maybe picked a better position. So that's one of those moments where like, I wish I had better guidance, you know, like I wish I could have took some more time and trust your gut, you know? Yeah. One of my favorite shows right now is Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah. Have you watched it? That's amazing. Yeah. Funny.
And there's a scene where he's giving advice to Rebecca. Yeah. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, always trust your gut. Yeah. On the way down, check in with your heart. And with those two things together, you're going to make the right decision.
I agree with that 100%.
Man. Like, I wish I had someone to I need Ted Lasso guidance.
Yeah. But does that happen now? I mean, is it something that people who are coming out, like there is that kind of guidance or mentoring or anything like that?
I wish there was more, Yeah. Like, I don't really know of any avenues where I feel like it's just, you kind of talk to kids. Yeah. Whether I'm doing events with like youth football, kids in high school, or, I try to give them as much advice as I can, but there's not really, there's no bridge between pros that are there and guys that, like, most guys in that position that are combine training have everybody talking to them. They got their family, they have agents calling them, trying to get them the right spot, training facilities. They're telling them what they want to hear, what teams are going to sign them. Yeah. They don't have someone going, hey, calm down. I mean, most parents don't know unless they've already been there. Yeah. Hey, calm down. Like, let's, do some research on these guys and talk to some other people, like maybe talk to some of the clients of the agents. Yeah. There should be definitely some bridge between that gap, because I think it would help a lot of people out.
Yeah. So then you played for Jacksonville for a period of time, and then what did you do
from there? So I got cut from there, and then immediately went to New Orleans. Lived there for like 4 months and played arena football there for the New Orleans Voodoo, which was actually a really cool experience. I just wanted to do whatever I could to like continue my playing career, right? Like I believed in myself. And this is probably like the toughest part of my career for sure. Yeah. It was like this back and forth between teams, going to New Orleans. Like, I remember not sure what I was going to do after Jacksonville. And I remember just like looking at stuff up online. And I found this dude from Pat O'Hara that was, he used to play football, and he's actually in the movie Waterboy.
Oh, is he really?
So he's the opposing quarterback.
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
at the end of the movie, the final, like the champion or the playoff, whatever they were doing.
Yep. So I ended up getting in contact with him, and he had me drive to Orlando, and we went to just this park. There's like swings on the side. Yeah. There's he just tries me out, and he's just throwing the ball to me as a quarterback. Really? Because he used to play quarterback. And he was like, hey man, I think you're really good. Like, I want to sign you to my New Orleans team. Like, we're just starting next, in April. It's like, all right. Let's do it. That's crazy. So I go out there, like blow it up, like 10 games, like have a really good season. Mm-hmm. And then the Bucs called me from there. They don't want to bring me in for a tryout. Mm-hmm. I remember there was like 12 other receivers there, a couple that were around the NFL, like on practice squads, or just other guys that were trying to get back on the NFL team. There's like 12 guys there. And I went in there and just like same thing I was telling you earlier. Like, just went in there, worked the hardest, made sure I didn't mess up anything, did everything right way. And then they signed me on the spot.
Wow.
And I was like, dope. Like,
how was it playing for the Bucs, your home team?
It was awesome. I mean, saying I got cut from them, but like at the same time, it was awesome to like be in Tampa, like my childhood like team that I used to go to games with my dad and my mom. Like the old sombrero. When I used to have the old sombrero there. Like, used to go to those games, and it was awesome. Like all my friends, my coaches from high school, my family, they would come to the practices and training camp. And, you know, people would be like, Tampa boy, woo, like always just like screaming from the side. And like, it felt good, you know, it was nice. And unfortunately, just it's a numbers thing, right? Like I was doing well with them. Had some like catches in the last preseason game I played with them against the Falcons, I believe it was. Yeah. Helped us like actually convert. Like I had like an 18-yard comeback I remember I caught and set us up for field goal to win the preseason game.
Who played quarterback at that time for the Bucs?
Josh Freeman.
Josh Freeman, okay.
Yeah, still good buddies with him. Yeah. And then, actually had Blaine Gabbert was my quarterback in Jacksonville. Okay. That was the year that he got drafted. So, you know, did that. And then I remember Jordan Shipley came in to be the punt returner because our punt returner got hurt in camp. And then right when they brought him in, I'm like looking at the numbers. I'm like, Vincent Jackson, all these guys. I'm like, dang, I might be getting cut today.
Oh God, yeah, because you're seeing who's there, right?
I'm not a punt returner, and they're bringing in the receiver to punt return because our punt returner got hurt, and I'm like, man, wow, this sucks. And then sure enough, next day I go in, Shiano called me in his office, and he's like, sorry man, like gotta let you go. I was like, sick, back here again. So then like at that point, I'm like, man, do I give up on my dream?
Right. Do I focus on becoming a CIA agent or what?
Do I join the military and focus on my criminology and try to go that route, or do I keep chasing my dream? And I really like had to check in with myself and, you know, give myself a hard talk. And that was a tough point. Like, you know, just living pretty rough and like just trying to work for money and like still get my training in as much as I could. Like I remember I was washing airplanes at Tampa Executive Airport, you know, waxing airplanes and stuff and like bartending on the side at like a sketchy bar up in like Carrollwood, like living in my mom's house again. I'm like, man, this is tough. And then getting up still between those jobs and like finding time to work out. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give up yet. Like I'm going to give myself one more opportunity.
How old were you at that time?
I think I was 22.
22. Okay.
Yeah, 21, 22.
Yeah, I mean, you have years ahead of potential that you're just that's a tough decision because you're like, what direction do I go?
Yeah, I remember my mom had like a little shed in the back that was a bedroom, like in the back of the house. Yeah. And I was like, that's where I'm living for right now. Yeah. It's tough.
And then, like, screw this. I'm going to go and continue with my dreams.
So then I ended up playing for the Tampa Bay Storm. Mm-hmm. So Derek Brooks was the president of So I joined that team, had a good like, I think it was 9 games. And then the same thing. I was like, man, I know I'm one of the best players on the field in this league. Yeah. Like, I was in the NFL in 2 camps. Like, I know I have the talent to play there. Yeah. And I didn't really know that till I was there. Cause like when you look at the outside in, like when you're in college, man, am I good enough to be here? Like, do I have imposter syndrome when I get there, or like I feel like I don't belong? Right. And then you get there and I'm just like, that's the test. Like, are you or aren't you? And I got there and I was like, man,
you're killing it.
Like, I know I can play here. Yeah. So that was like the moment that I realized like, all right, I can chase my dream because I know I can do it. Yeah. So then I called and emailed. This is back to my agent. He stopped responding to me. Wow. I actually still don't know. I was like, did he pass away or something? Like he just didn't answer my calls, didn't answer my texts, no emails. So I had to wait that 2-year period. So I couldn't have an agent. So then at that time I was like,
I mean, at that point, this must have been like a breach of contract or something.
I couldn't leave him because I would have to pay him back for my training, which was like $30,000-$40,000, which I didn't have at the time. Yeah. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? So I was like, all right, what are my options? What's a loophole? I was like, I'm going to be my own agent. Yeah. So I called every team, emailed every team in the CFL up in Canada. And I was like, all right, I know this is like the next closest thing to the NFL where there's like a lot of talented players that go back and forth every year. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, email, call every team. 2 teams responded to me, Hamilton Tiger Cats and Montreal Alouettes. Hmm. And then one of the guys, Danny McManus, who happens to be like a Hall of Fame quarterback up there, also lives in Naples in the off season. Mm-hmm. I remember he called me and he was like, hey, like, are you in St. Pete area? Like, I have a tryout that I'm going to do there. Like, all right, let's do this again.
That's crazy.
So I go to some St. Pete high school and this 45-year-old dude starts warming up his arm. And I'm like, doing this again? Yeah. Like I'm gonna have this another old dude throwing me footballs. Yeah. To like see if I could be a good enough receiver on a team. Yeah. But he's actually really good. I was like, this guy's slinging the ball right now. Yeah. Like, this guy's impressive. Yeah. So he's like, man, I actually really like you. Watch some of your film and stuff. He's like, do the arena football thing. We don't start camp until June, so I'll let you know. So he watched my arena season, and then he called me in June. He was like, hey, we have an extra spot for receiver. Like, you want to come up to Canada? I was like, I don't have a passport. I don't have anything. Like, I don't know what to do. He's like, you better jump on it, get it expedited if you want to keep playing football.
Did they talk money at this time, or did they say like, hey,
we're
going to, this is just like, hey, here's an opportunity, either take it or leave it?
Take it or leave it.
Wow.
Your arena football, you want your dreams to play in the NFL.
You're just an man not knowing what's going on, like hour by hour, day by day, or just financially.
Just in a whirlwind.
Yeah.
21, you're like, I'm just trying to chase my dreams. Like that was a like huge year of my life. Because like so many things were happening, like grinding, trying to like figure out if I was even good enough to do it, or if I had the will to do it. And like even like I had a relationship for like 5 years at that point that ended too, because she got tired of it too. She's like, how, like,
what are you doing in your life?
Yeah,
it makes it look like you're doing nothing in your life, right?
Yeah,
but
like,
at the same time, it's
she's like, get a job here, and like we could be together and like start family and all that. I'm like, we've been together for 5 years, and like if I just settle now and like don't chase my dreams, I'm gonna resent this forever.
Yeah.
So it was like, you want what you want, so like how to let that go. And I ended up going to Canada, getting my passport, did a rookie contract for 2 years, like grinded it out. Like it was tough. Like I almost rookie of the year the first year, ended up breaking my fibula. Ooh. So I missed 6 games.
Was it during a game?
Yeah, got a tackle like from the side. So I had like a stretch fracture in my fibula, missed 6 games, came back for the playoffs. And then my first year we went to the Grey Cup. We ended up losing, but like very first year.
Which is equivalent to Super Bowl.
Year.
Yeah.
Yep. So same thing. Second year, was doing really well. And then for some reason the coaches like pulled me for not really sure why, like still don't know to this day. The team ended up going to a Grey Cup again that year and losing again. And then I became a free agent. And then I signed with Ottawa, which I ended up spending 4 years there. And then that's like kind of when my career took off. Like I had some coaches that believed in me. The quarterback that was in Hamilton the first year I was there had ended up going to Ottawa. And he told the coach there, like, dude, bring this guy in.
Connection.
Like he's could be one of the best receivers in the CFL.
Yeah.
Like I remember him telling me that. I remember the GM telling me that too. Like Hank thinks that you're gonna be one of the best guys in the CFL, so let's see it. And I ended up going off there, like had 1,000+ yards. Second year, had 1,000+, like 1,400 yards. And then that's when the NFL team started like calling again. Yeah. So I had like tryouts after my contract was over. So I did a 2-year contract. And then kind of same thing happened. NFL teams are calling like tryouts with the Eagles, the Bears, the Jaguars in the off season. And it's like kind of the same thing. It's like, you're good, but like, I just don't know if it's worth bringing you in. And like, you kind of have someone like you, but like, not really sure. I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm going back to the CFL.
Right.
I'm a good guy up there.
It's stable, and they know you. And
I'm going to be able to play. I'm not going to be practice squad.
Right.
I'm going to contribute to a team going to championship games. Like, it's going to mean something to me for my career. And it's going to mean something like in the locker room. Like, I'm going to be a part of it. So ended up going there, signed another 2 years. And then same when like ended up being all-star that year. We went to the Grey Cup, won a Grey Cup that year.
Wow.
And then the next year, like same thing, had another like all-star season. Went to the playoffs, ended up losing that game. And then the coaches switched to Edmonton, ended up going to Edmonton. We were one game away from the Grey Cup, like had had like 5,000 yard seasons in a row.
Wow.
But it like finally took the moment of like everything paid off from like, how I grew up and, the work ethic that I had that my dad instilled in me, and like finally really believing in myself was like the main thing, and really pushing for it. And then it finally like, paid off. And, this is year 10 now up there. And so I just signed with Montreal Alouettes, and did another year in Winnipeg. We went to the Grey Cup last year, and one of the last plays of the game, they blocked the field goal. Huh. So I would have won another Grey Cup, and then they blocked.
You guys
the field
get nice big rings, just like
I was gonna bring it for you, and I ended up leaving the house. But I'll show you it later.
How different is NFL from Canadian football?
There's rules that are different for sure.
Is it like other safety rules that like better protect like quarterbacks? Obviously, a lot of concussion. So there's health issues that.
There's bigger field, so actually a lot of the people there believe that it's a safer football game, and it's
because less chance of getting tackled, or
it's just more wide open, less compact. Like whenever you think about like a ping pong game,
right?
Like really put the paddles like close together.
Absorption is
going quick, right? You spread it out. You have like more distance to kind of see things. You can kind of observe in a wider aspect. It's a little bit, so it's 55 yards instead of 50. The field's a little bit wider. I think it's 14 yards wider, and then the end zones are 20 yards. Instead of 10.
Wow.
Also 3 downs instead of 4 downs.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot more passing.
Yeah.
So like, sometimes when you watch NFL games, it's like they're just running the ball down, like getting 3 yards, like it's kind of boring and like mundane.
Yeah.
But the CFL, it's exciting. Like think about Kansas City.
You can't run out the clock like just running the game if you're ahead. So you kind of have to. Yeah.
So it's 10 seconds faster than the NFL clock.
Wow.
So the play clock, there's more plays quicker. And also there's different things like with the return game, how like Well, first of all, the end zones are bigger and the field's longer, so kickoffs actually matter. You're not just starting the game like, all right, we got the Bucks versus the Saints, and here's the kickoff right out of bounds.
Right.
And I was like, well, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
It's like you see that every game now.
Yeah.
There's always a return game.
Wow.
So you have kickoffs always returned for the most part. Yeah. Like more than 90%. And then also our punt return game, we always, because NFL, always see a fair catch, push the ball down. That's where you start the offense.
Wow.
And in the CFL, you have a 5-yard halo. So imagine like a hula hoop that's 5 yards big around the player. When he catches the ball, when you're going to tackle him, everybody has to slow down 5 yards and like give him a chance to catch the ball and then return it.
Oh, wow.
So there's always a return game.
So a lot of protection. And some rules that protect the players, obviously, right?
Yeah, that's part of it too, is like to give the guy a chance to catch the ball instead of like, so it sounds a little bit off, but like it makes the game really exciting because there's like a punt returner can change the game. If you have a good punt returner and a good special teams, it's like a whole third of the game that you have offense, defense, special teams really matters in the CFL.
And you guys have like obviously a medical team, a training team, nutritionists, and all the support, everything.
We had that, I mean, I played in Winnipeg last year. We had like 32,000 people at every game. Like, beautiful stadium. I'll show you it. Yeah. Really packed. Edmonton too. I think their stadium's like 60,000. I'd say the bigger cities have a little bit smaller stadiums. Like when I was in Hamilton, we used to play at where the Jays play. Okay, which was really Rogers Center, which is really cool. And then they switched up where they play. So it's a little bit different now. They play at BMO Field where the Toronto FC play. Okay. So it's a grass field, which is really nice for football. Like not a lot of teams have all natural fields now. Right. So every stadium, every city is different, but it's great up there. Like, and as far as the competition level, there's maybe like the 10% of the NFL, like the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers, the Jason Kelsey's, the Julio Jones. Like, there's those guys that are top tier, just freak athletes. Yeah. And then the rest of them, you could interchange with CFL players any day. Okay. And you can ask, I mean, I know Ocho Cinco had a podcast where he was talking about that when he was up there because he played for Montreal for a little bit. And he's like, man, these guys are good. Like, what are you doing up here? You should be down south. So does NFL, do they send scouts over there and watch? And they poach players all the time. Yeah, they poach them all the time, right? Yeah. You might not hear about it too much, but there's always guys every year like that get poached. Cameron Wake, he played for the Dolphins, defense lineman. He played in the CFL. Wow. He got signed like $1 million contract with the Dolphins the year he got poached from the CFL. Wow. And there's plenty of guys that are in the NFL and still want that opportunity to play and don't want to give up on it, and they go play in the CFL. Right. And some of them make the team every year. There's an NFL guy that comes in and is like, man, this is CFL. Like, there's no way these guys are good. Yeah. And they come out. They come out and they get cut. Yeah. Yep. Because they just think that they're better just because they played in the CFL or played in the NFL. But once you're there long enough and you understand that football's football. I mean, Johnny Manziel came up there, right? Yeah. Like, not that he had an illustrious NFL career, right? But he came up there thinking he was going to rip it up. First game, I think he threw like 5 picks. He became nothing. Yep. Now he's not playing anymore. But there's a lot of guys that go up there every year. Trent Richardson, I think, went up there. Like, there's, Ocho Cinco, so many guys. So, I mean, there's obviously, that's a great support. I mean, it's the real deal. It's harder. It's something that I guess here in America, we don't realize that when you're an NFL fan, you have your favorite sports team and everything. Like Canada has a whole freaking... Yeah, most people think hockey, but... Yeah, you think hockey or you think, baseball even, but, or, whatever. But it's amazing to hear that it's so popular over there, and it's June and November. So if you ever... I think they play on ESPN 2 here all the time. So... Yeah, you ever see a game, it's good football to watch. Like, it's fun, it's exciting. There's a lot of passing. Yeah. If you think about like Kansas City offense, how they do a lot of like RPO game, which is run pass option. I don't know if you're familiar with that much depth, but so when I watch Miami football, that's what we Mahomes is just looking at the defensive end. If the defensive end crashes on the running back, he's pulling it and he's throwing it to Kelsey. That's doing like a little block out to the flats. That's the way they run their offense is very CFL offense. Right. Okay. So if you like that kind of offense, that's what you're getting up there. Okay. So I mean, it's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's entertaining is what it comes down to. Yep. That's how you want to watch football. Oh yeah. Absolutely. That's crazy. So you've been in the Canadian League for how many years now total? So this will be my 10th year. 10th year. Wow. Yep. Been to 6 Grey Cups, so championship games, won 1. Wow. So it's been almost closing in on 10,000 receiving yards. I think I'm at like 8,500 right now. Got like another 1,000 in the playoffs, but can't count that. What's the average years people usually stay in the league over there versus NFL? I think all sports is, or all football is like 3 years or 2.5 is like the usual career length. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Been doing it for a while. All my coaches always ask me, like, how much longer are you going to play for?
Yeah.
Like, man, I mean, as long as until the wheels fall off, honestly, like I love this game, and I know I'm going to have another life after football. So I'm going to let this life of being a football player last as long as I can, because I love it.
Yeah.
And
have you decided?
I train with the combine guys in the off season. So guys that are like what I did when I first came out, when I was in Ohio. Mm-hmm. I train with those guys that are doing that now, trying to make the NFL or CFL now. And I'm still in there, working them a little bit. Yeah. So the day comes that I'm falling behind in there, and these kids coming out of college or showing me something, that's when I'm going to be like, all right, this is probably my last year.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet. So
have you thought about what you're going to do post-career?
Yeah. I mean, I think about that all the time. And I think definitely closer towards the end of it, the more I start to think about it. But also I don't want to put too much energy into that. Like I want to prepare myself. Right. But also I don't want to like take less energy of how I've approached the game so far and the reason that I've had this length of career, and let it deter me from that. So like I think about it, like I know guys that coach right now that I've played with, like I know they always tell me like, hey, when you're done playing, like hit me up. Like you've been playing for so long, you have so much knowledge. Yeah. You've seen almost everything out there as a player. You've watched film so much, like you already have so much experience that you don't even realize. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would love to be around football for the rest of my life. Like become a wide receivers coach and then go from there and see. Absolutely. It's a great game to be around. Yeah. But also like I have buddies that, I mean, like Justin and, those guys around Tampa that, they do real estate and stuff. And they're like always telling me like, hey man, when you're done playing, like, I know you're good with this stuff. You're handy, like you're hardworking. Like you've played football for so long, like you're a team player, like you understand. And like everybody's working for a common cause. Right. When it comes to like a business, it's the same as football. Yeah. So like they value me as a person and as, the intangible things that I have, but we'll see, like I'm going to keep riding this train. I think I got another 3-4 years. I mean, yeah, that's crazy. So do you have to train differently as you're in this more, do you like, well, I have to be more concerned about injuries, as I'm aging a little bit, or does that ever hit you, or it hasn't crossed my mind yet. Your mindset, like you just train like as if you're like back in college. Yep. Give my 100% every time, like every workout. Like I'm always on, trying to finish as fast as I can. Like, so when you look at Tom Brady and obviously playing up until the age of 45, how does that look to you from your perspective? 45 as a receiver, impossible. Impossible. Because they get hit. Obviously, he didn't get hit as much, right? Obviously. Yeah, and he's not running. So that's probably why his career obviously, sustained as long as it did. Amazing career. But also, quarterback's very mental. Right. If you can be a mental player and study the game and know where to go with the ball in a split second as a quarterback, you're going to last a long time. Right. You have to know how to read everything. Yeah. As a receiver, I always look at like Jerry Rice, and I'm like, all right, 41 years old. 7 more years. Yeah. And my coaches tell me that up there. They're like, how long are you going to play? I'm like, Jerry Rice, baby. That's how I respond every time. I know this is Jerry Rice. I know it's a dumb question, but how much does it hurt, those hits? Oh, it depends. I mean, what do you compare it to? You have a big guy coming at you. You see the ball up in the air. You're getting hit, but you have to catch that damn ball. Man, that's one of the best feelings in the world. What does it feel like? When you know it's coming though, and like you catch the ball, and that's the thing. Is your body loose? You tight in? You like how do you prepare? You just got to know it's coming, and also it's like just a fear thing. Yeah. Like they say, with no fear, there's no bravery, right? Right. So. If you get like, that's where a lot of players fold. Like I was saying in the clutch time, there's guys that kind of back down, they get nervous. They're not like sure if they're prepared or not. Right. But when it comes to those moments too, there's guys that flinch, that little bit of a flinch when you hear some footsteps or you see someone coming can be the difference between, a half an inch. What do you see 2 or 3 people coming? Then I guess you're focused on catching a ball and whatever happens, right? Yeah. So I've been on both ends of that, right? Like I've been through it. Definitely when I was younger, I was like maybe a little bit more hesitant, like, oh, this is going to hurt, or like maybe flinch a little bit. But then like as I got older and more experienced, I realized that like if you get hit really hard and it's going to hurt bad, it feels a lot better when you catch the ball. Yeah. But do you hurt the next day, or like when you wake up like lying in bed, you're like, oh God. No, there's definitely days, like it depends on the game, right? Like it depends how many balls you catch, how much you're getting hit. There's games where I wake up and I'm like, we don't have to play 1 game a week. We could play 2 games in a week. Like I could play a game every 4 days. Right. And then there's other games where you go through it and it's a battle. Oh my gosh. With that other team, they're like super physical. You guys ran the ball a lot. You took a lot of hits. You had to block, a lot for the outside receivers or something. and you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, I just got in a car accident. Like,
yeah, it's whiplash,
back,
right?
Tight,
yeah.
Like everything
So what do you do
hurts.
for that? Do you
Recovery,
guys, I mean,
yeah.
you
So
do
we
like
get
the
up,
ice tub, you know?
Absolutely. Take advantage of the ice tubs, and then sauna, like huge for the next day. Like you go in there, and especially getting a workout. Like people would think, I mean, just like anybody else, you think of when you're really sore that like you should rest and like take it easy. But one of the best things you do is active recovery. Yeah. Like you have that lactic acid buildup, and you're sitting there, you're sore the next day. If you go out there and move and like you do, you know, a light cardio session, you get on the bike or a treadmill and like get your, you know, heart moving, get your blood flowing a little bit, it really gets your body into motion and starts pushing out all that, the bad stuff that's stuck in there. So that's one thing that after games we always do. Like we come in the next day, we watch film, get active recovery, because that's just gonna, even as bad as you're hurting, like, you know, maybe you got a little limp, like maybe
you
took
popping
some weird
a leave
hits.
or something? Tylenol?
No, I mean, honestly, I try to not self-medicate with anything unless it's necessary. So like, unless I have like last year I tore my plantar fascia in my foot. So that was something that like, I would make sure that like Voltaren, like the doctor, he would give me that to help with that inflammation.
Topical cream.
Make sure like, you know, to really help an injury out. But if it's not actual.
That feels amazing actually. I've had the Voltaren. It actually.
It helps drastic. For like swelling, anti-inflammatory. That and just like the simple fruits like cherries. Like during camp, I'll crush cherries. Wow. Just because I know it's a good antioxidant. Like it's going to help my body like heal and recover.
You do think that, you think about what you're ingesting and what the benefits are of what you're ingesting and
Absolutely.
how that helps your body.
Yeah. Like leafy greens.
How do you learn that?
I think
nutritionist teaches you guys, or you just...
That's part of it. But also I think everybody's different too, right? You got to experience on your own. Like there's certain things that you can eat that you like for whatever reason, like broccoli with me doesn't sit well. Like I want to get one of those allergy tests, but I never have. But like broccoli for me, like I know every time I eat it, like I don't feel good. Right. I feel like gassy and like I could feel like my stomach doesn't feel right. So like I stay away from like that, like spinach and collard greens and stuff. I'll crush that. Get those leafy greens that feel good. So
you eat a lot of vegetables, clearly.
Yeah, I just snack on that stuff. Like that, I've always been that way though. Like I always like to have something around, whether it's like nuts or trail mix or just, you know, something on the side that's healthy. Like that I don't like chips. I'm not like a big soda drinker either. Like I never have been. I've always have water on me.
Or milk.
And then, or a gallon of milk. Chocolate milk though.
I'm gonna get you one.
Can't wait.
I'm gonna get you a jug just for that.
Perfect.
That's crazy. So, I mean, that's amazing to, hear that perspective of like, you know, after a game and how your guys' mindset is and what you intake in your body and what you do and how you guys recover and everything.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's mental too.
It's longevity for you as an athlete and everything else, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's that's clearly why you've been in this and done this for so many years. So how do you guys get like physicals yearly, or like how does it work? Like how do they medically take care of you guys?
Oh yeah, every year. Like so when we start camp, the first day you get into camp, when we all fly into the city. So when I fly into Montreal in the end of May, there's one day and it's always so grueling. It's like 5 hours of just like they have like 6 to 8 team doctors come in that are like part of the team. And they have all these rooms set up, and like you have your name. And
what do they do?
You have a checklist. It's just everything. Like there's one room you'll get your blood drawn. The next room will be a concussion test. The next room will be EKG.
Wow.
The next room will be like functional. Like they'll check all your ligaments if you had an injury. I'm sure you would know better what that's called, but that doctor that is your physical basically. Yeah.
So it's a whole total body, like the physical to make sure that. Heart, lungs, you know, your extremities and your reflexes and everything. Yeah.
Everything. So they literally just go down a checklist.
Neurological exams.
Everything. Yeah. Do what is it called? EKG. And then we have our concussion test too, which is actually always fun. Like I always kind of look forward to the concussion test. Have you ever done one?
I have not.
So they'll literally sit you in a room and they'll have this piece of paper. I forget what it's called, but like, all right, I'm going to give you, or what time is it right now approximately? Don't look at your watch.
2:00.
Ooh, it's 2:36. So they'll be like, ooh, I don't know if he's looking so good. Did you get hit in the head this morning?
Really? For real?
And then they'll be like, all right, I'm going to give you 6 words. Apple, bacon,
chair. Oh my God. It's like a dementia test. It's like, that's what it is.
And then they'll do a bunch of these tests, like where you have to stand and like on one leg for like 30 seconds and like close your eye, other leg for 30 seconds. And then they'll come back down and then they'll have those words again. They're like, all right, what are those 6 words I told you earlier?
I mean, sometimes you can have a bad day though, right? And mess up.
I didn't have my coffee this morning. So
you didn't have your coffee or something. Yeah, your milk. Yeah, God. Chocolate, it came in like just normal flavor today. God. So the EKG is interesting because, as we know, Buffalo Bills player, why is that name? Who collapsed in the field, right? Yes. Yeah. That was a big deal because
that's scary.
He's 24 years old and had that sudden collapse and cardiac event, and I think that was amazing to see in a perspective of a medical professional like me, because it's seeing something like that. We see that. Unfortunately, we see that, right? But like the whole arena, then the TV, everyone who's watching from home, and the players, like it just something like that must be intense for that situation and for the players and of course his family and everything. But you
it was scary to watch. I mean, right when that happened, I had like a group chat with a bunch of my teammates.
Yeah.
And we were all just like, man, that did not look good. Like I've seen one other guy in my career that went down like that. It wasn't a heart thing though. It was like a really bad hit. Like he went to turn up field and this other guy, like a DB, came down to hit him. And this is like he's like 260-pound fullback. And this DB was like maybe 170. And he came and hit him and literally on the spot, like while he was still standing, like passed out, hit the ground.
Wow.
Like lifeless almost. I was like, oh my God. It was just a really bad concussion.
Yeah.
But then he had like neurological damage in his spine and like upper neck. Mm-hmm. So like his right arm to this day is like still like.
So he couldn't play anymore?
No, he's done.
Yeah, he's done.
That's like the only person that I've ever seen in my career that like instantly saw their career end. Like that's scary, and it's like makes you like really step back for a second. It's like all that time when I was not sure if I wanted to play, and I was like, this is a game I love. And you're like, man, really just one play away from like something drastic changing your whole life. Yeah. And like that's also the love of the game, right? You're out there battling with your teammates, your friends. Like those locker rooms are like some of the closest locker rooms you'll ever be a part of.
You guys are family, right?
And you're with those guys every day. Like you want to know them inside and out. Like you want to know who you're going to battle with, and like you want to care about those guys outside of just their talents on the football field.
Right.
Because at the same time, it's just like any other job, right? Like people have real life worries, real life problems, like things going on at home with their families, with their wife, with their kids. Like it is a family, and that's why you hear like most successful teams as they go down that stretch into the playoffs and into like the Super Bowl or the Grey Cup or the Stanley Cup. You always hear them talk about like how tight the locker room is, and like how much how much they want to play for each other. Yeah, because it truly makes a difference.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then like, you guys have. You see that with Hamlin, right? Like you see how the outreach of people, like they cared, and like his teammates and even the other team, like for them to just end the game and be like, you know what, this is bigger than football. Yeah, like this is somebody's life on the line. Yeah. So like that was awesome to see, and I'm really proud of like how they, the football community responded to that.
They handled it very well. Yeah. I mean, you see the TV, I mean, the coaches, there wasn't even a second thought. They're like, this is done. Yeah. We're done. I mean, to see that and see them do, and what was really amazing for me to see is how they circled around to like shield him from the public view while they're like doing CPR. In a circle like that. Yeah. And while they're doing CPR so that there was respect.
Yeah, man. It's
tough. That's a really tough one. That's but that's you can tell team sports. I mean, you have a different family. Like you have a different life, and it's like everyone is part of you guys, and you all stay in touch and treat each other. I mean, you're out there to protect each other too.
I'm a firm believer though. Like I don't know how it is in the medical field as much, but like, is it like that for you? Like I
think
when you're with those people that you practice with all the time, and like y'all are in a room where you're performing surgery or
we take care of everyone. Like, I did. I was involved in a. Makes you closer, right? Yeah, I was involved in a. I was involved in a hospital shooting, and it was my patient, and I was actually, I was like 30 seconds away from the door when it happened. Wow. So I found her, and we did CPR. We did all life-saving measures, and it was a murder suicide in the room, actually. Wow. And that trauma for the nursing staff and doctors, and I mean, I was there. Of course, it was extremely traumatic. But
sorry to hear
afterwards, but similar situation. They put us all in a room. They did prayer. They everyone just kind of like talked and cried and everything. So it's
that's
you go home and it's like no one understands that, right? Because
I know this is just a podcast, but like I can really connect with you on that because in college, one of my teammates got stabbed on campus.
Oh my gosh!
And same thing. Like I remember like walking from study hall and like hearing this like blood curdling like scream, and like looked over, I like knew something wasn't right, like ran over, and then like such a stupid thing, like college kids getting in an argument about like someone's girlfriend, and like a kid had like those scissors on him and like stabbed him, and I remember like watching him on the ground, paramedics showing up, and like I guess he got stabbed in the abdomen in the right spot, and
bad place.
Yeah, like bled out. We all, and the same thing, like we all went to our coaches were like, guys, don't go out, like don't go look for him, like we're all gonna meet in the stadium. And that was the year. Kindleberry, that's one of the, when I practice and when I play every game, like I always think about him, and like you know, I don't really know what there is after this life, but like I always know, like when I pray, like for every game, I'm like always Kendall, like this is for you, man, like I hope you're watching the game, and like
it's touching.
So like it really brings people closer,
and that's the point. Also, we wanted to start this podcast because people, they don't hear these stories, right? Like I mean, they exist.
It's hard to share that stuff. You know?
It's really hard because people don't understand, right?
I didn't know that about you until now. And
I mean, it's it gets a story out, but yet it shows that people think, oh, you're just a football player, and you make money, you do this, you train, blah blah blah. But you guys are like way more than that. Like you have your own families. That you have your personal family, you have your professional family, and you have people you rely on, and that probably gets you to where you are at this point today.
Absolutely.
Right? If it's not for that, then you probably won't have that drive as much.
Yep.
You want to play for your family, no matter who they are.
Absolutely. Whether it's the family that you are born with or the family you create along the way, like a lot of my friends are closer than a lot of my family now, and it's just kind of certain people are meant to be there long term. Some people are just in seasons. But it was a pleasure to meet you recently too, because I was like talk to you for a little bit. I'm like, man, this is a cool guy. Like,
and what really was awesome about you guys is that you're doing that charity work as well, right?
Yes.
It's the LLS. It's the is it the Lymphoma Leukemia Society, correct? Yes. So tell us about that real quick.
Okay, yeah. So November this past year, one of my buddies did this campaign for Man of the Year for Leukemia Lymphoma Society for blood cancer. He had done it the previous year, and then he reached out to me in November and asked me if I'd be interested in it. And the more I thought about it and the more people I talked to, I thought it'd be a great platform to help people out. And when I did some research, the LLS community, I had some meetings with them, some Zoom meetings, and then we just started our fundraiser last week. And there's like 4 pillars for the LLS that you can help with. There's advocacy, there's research, and then there's patient support, which one thing I didn't realize that they did was they help out so much with people that need help that can't afford it. I think it's $241 million in 2021 that helped over 42,000 cancer patients. And also like when we had the hurricane hit Fort Myers, like in South, so LLS did a ton of work to help people that were in the community get their homes destroyed or couldn't, get transportation
to
the
doctors
hospitals
or for chemotherapy, for all that.
So they do a ton of stuff with that, with patient support. But the direction for my fundraising is mostly going to be for youth. So they have it's called Dare to Dream, because most of the cancer research now is, I think it's 80% of it's for adults in blood cancer. The research for, and so they're trying to do a lot more initiative for kids cancer and how they respond to different treatments at a younger age. So most of the funds that I'm doing in the fundraising, it's for 2 months. I'm trying to raise awareness for that and get donations. And, just do something. I have 2 months, kind of off. Like I work out in the mornings, 9 o'clock, I get done around 2. And then after that, I'm pretty free. So I was like, how can I help give it back? Because I know for me personally, like when I help people out, it really gives me a lot of satisfaction. So if I can help people on a bigger scale, talk $241 million for 42,000 people. That's a big difference in people's lives that, you're saving lives. Just, a dollar helps, $5 helps, whatever it is. But
what's your goal?
My minimum goal is 50,000. But last year, I think the person that raised the most was around 300,000. So, I have a lot of friends that have, companies and stuff. I'm reaching out to them. They seem interested, or just simple donations of like, I have a friend that works at a golf course and manages it. So he's going to donate like 4 free rounds of golf, and then they're going to put that at the gala that's May 5th at Armature Works. And then people can bid on it, just anything to raise money. Like my friends that are football players are going to donate jerseys. One will go to a kid that beat cancer, and then the other one, whoever auctioned on the item, will be able to give the jersey to the kid. And also they'll be able to keep the other signed jersey for themselves. So we're going to do a lot of stuff to like, kind of get motivation and get people involved. And I mean, worst case scenario, it spreads awareness, where people know that if they do have something and they do get diagnosed with cancer, that there's avenues to help them. And I think that's the main thing.
It's a wonderful thing. I mean, in my business, unfortunately, we see that often. We're usually the primary voice of giving the news to the patient or to the family members in that room, and it's hard. Horrible because, you walk in one day, you feel fine, and the next day, you may feel a little bit off, and you're going to see the doctor. One test leads to the other, and all of a sudden, bam, you're diagnosed with something catastrophic. So it's a mental toll, it's a physical toll, it's a financial toll. It hits everything.
LLS is doing a great job at patient support, and there's a lot of other facts I can give you, but I'll let people do their own research. I'll give you my page.
Is there a website we can? Obviously, when we publish this, we'll post it. But if there's a website, we'll spread the word from our end as well, and do the best in getting as much money and donations to your cause.
Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. The thing I'm doing is called Visionaries of the Year, but there's all kinds of other facts besides the $241 million. I could read some of them if you want, but they can also look on the page too and get all the information they need.
Awesome. Well, it's been great hearing about you. I've known you, but I didn't realize, God, the grades, the GPA, the dedication, your mentoring from your father, and, kind of where you are now in life. Like, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot, but it's always worth it.
You could have taken another path. You could have done, anything as simple and given up and, been married. Yeah. That 5-year relationship you had, but if it wasn't for that passport, then and here Thanks, you Canada. Are. Yeah. I guess we give a shout out to the milk industry too, because clearly that had something to do with your brains.
I heard that was a whole campaign though. Yeah. That wasn't true at all, right?
Yeah.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for
having me. It's been amazing, and we'll definitely get the word out for LLS, and I know you are involved also in potential other charity fundraisers, and given who you are, I think it'd be amazing to bring you back and discuss and let everyone know how this comes out as well.
Yeah. Also, if anybody wants to reach out, the link is on my Instagram, which is Jellyman, GELLIMAN. And also, like, if there's any charities in Tampa or in Canada that need help with anything, like, I'm always willing to donate my time for other causes.
That'd be great.
Most of the stuff I do is with like youth football and getting kids and communities and getting them outside of like bad neighborhoods and stuff to like get more active in the team culture. I love doing that stuff. So
on a note, I would say what I was thinking when I heard your story though is that it'd be amazing for you to mentor the kids in terms of schooling
and direction,
and sports and direction. Yeah. Right. Exactly. You'd be like the perfect role model for these kids growing up and giving them that direction. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of future opportunities and doing whatever you want to do, but I think that'd be amazing. It sounds like it's needed out there.
I try to as much as I can with Robinson High School. Like, I'll stop by there sometimes and talk to the kids a little bit, do some coaching sessions. But yeah, that's something I'd love to do, be around football. And if I could help people along the way, that definitely gives me some satisfaction too.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome. Well, till next time, and thank you everyone for listening, and we will give an update.
Right. Second opinion.
Yes. All right. Thank you all.